Hello everyone, Chief Sherri-Lyn Hill here. Nyawa, thank you for tuning in to the weekly Chief and Council radio show. Let's get started with some updates. This is so exciting. Like we announced earlier this week, Brandon Montour is going to bring the Stanley Cup home to Six Nations Wednesday, July 24th. Main parking for the event is at the Ohsweken Speedway. You'll be shuttled to the Six Nations Sports and Cultural Memorial Center. Also accessible and seniors parking will be at the arena. The day begins at 1 p.m. with a parade beginning at Ohsweken Speedway and going down Chiefswood Road to the main intersection in the village to the arena. This event will end at 4 p.m. sharp. We are expecting thousands of people and everyone's safety is paramount. I ask for everyone's patience. Please do not park on the sides of the roads. Please use the designated spots at the Ohsweken Speedway so we can keep the roads clear for the parade and our emergency services. If you want to volunteer for this event, please call Lee Thompson at 548-328-0725. Nyawa, thank you for this opportunity, Brandon, and Nyawa, thank you to everyone for your patience. While we're talking about food, the 12 community garden planter boxes on Chiefswood Road, some of the vegetables are ready to get picked. So please help yourself to take some of these vegetables. And Nyawa, and thank you again to the JC Hill Thunder Club for helping with this project. Now we'll go into the Chiefs update. Solidarity Day was on June 21st, and I opened the day with inspiring remarks expressing gratitude to the organizers, sponsors, and entertainers who made the celebration enjoyable. It was wonderful to see so many families come together, braving the heat to take in the festivities. Nyawa, and thank you to everyone who contributed to making Solidarity Day a success. On June 25th, I had a virtual meeting with the Minister of Indigenous Service Canada, Patty Hajdu, to discuss the closure, mold infestation, and critical need for restoration at the Gagnos building. The call was generally positive, with Minister Hajdu and her officials expressing concern and committing to work with Six Nations to address the issue. The minister acknowledged the building's importance because of its central location in Ohsweken and its proximity to health and community facilities. It took far too long to get the meeting with the minister, after multiple inquiries and follow-ups for an in-person or virtual meeting. It took words with the Prime Minister at an event to finally get a meeting with the minister's office. On June 26th, I had an introductory meeting with Grand Erie Child and Family Services Executive Director Sally Johnson and Board Member Greg Anderson. This meeting, requested by Child and Family Services, aimed to strengthen the relationship with Six Nations. I emphasized the importance of building a meaningful relationship, and future discussions on this relationship will be directed to the community. I provided opening remarks at the 3rd annual Survivors of the Mohawk Institute gathering in Brantford. This took place from June 25th to June 27th. I attended parts of the gathering each day. It was inspiring and uplifting to see survivors of the mushhole from many First Nations across the province come together. Indigenous Service Canada has started a collaborative process to engage First Nations on a potential changes to the second generation cutoff and Section 10 voting thresholds. Following a council discussion and resolution, my office submitted an email responding, affirming our feedback. The email did not endorse the consultation process, but it requested confirmation on how our views will be received without being labeled as consultation. So it was sent before the June 30th deadline. The email will be followed by a more formal letter providing feedback in conjunction with any feedback from the ISK process. On July 3rd, we held an introductory meeting with Contact Brant. The goal was to understand how Contact Brant services Six Nations members and to connect them with the Six Nations Director of Wellbeing who was in attendance. Contact Brant looked for guidance on conducting culturally appropriate assessments and intakes to better support Six Nations community. They provided services overviewing packages, and the Director of Wellbeing will handle the necessary follow-up. On July 3rd, I attended a funding announcement at the Woodland Cultural Center where the federal government announced $1.4 million in funding for the Save the Evidence project. This is fantastic news for the Woodland Cultural Center. On July 4th, myself and the Six Nations Wellbeing Department Director, Deb Jonathan, had an introductory meeting with Lansdowne Children's Center Executive Director Rita Mary Hagley and Director of Client Services Jennifer Huxley. The purpose was to discuss the future relationship between Six Nations and Lansdowne. Six Nations staff emphasized the importance of meaningful relationships with urban organizations like Lansdowne. This week features inspiring words and a progress update from Councillor Amos Key Jr. Enjoy the show, everyone, and welcome Councillor Amos Key Jr.
Scanos for Guego. Taiho was Nick was Gaso, Nanto Aknagrit Nanto, Ho Hiegit Wenzage. Nay, Ganyata, ni walk a shout there. Nay, Ganyata, ni walk Granjo there. Nay, Gadriho, Nanto Ho, Knagrit. Nay, don't to set on it. Go here, they have Nagrit some guidis on it now. Hello, everyone. My English name is Amos Key Jr., and I just mentioned that I'm a Mohawk from the Turtle Clan, and I live here at Heian-Wenzage, or Six Nations, and I'm also a faith keeper of the four ceremonies here at Six Nations. It's my turn now to introduce myself in this forum and to share with you my purpose to serve and to share my aspirations for my community and over the next 3.5 years, and to share my observations of the last 6 months as an elected official on the Grand River Six Nations Elected Council. I'd like to first thank again my nominator and seconder for their trust in me to take this lead. Our election code for council designates this function as a part-time service. Having said that, I continue to work at the University of Toronto's Daniel School of Architecture as a Haudenosaunee consultant to the School of Architecture, and I consult to the First Nations Technical Institute at Tainanega, where we are developing Ontario's first Bachelor of Education degree for teaching Indigenous languages. This degree is to teach teacher candidates who wish to have a career in teaching First Nations languages in the immersion or second language setting. And I still, on a part-time basis, manage CKRZ 100.3 FM, the voice of the Grand. We are proud of CKRZ. When I arrived, we were $75,000 in debt and we only had 2 staff members. Today, we're an operation of near $1 million again, and we have 6 staff members and 2 part-time managers. So we're very proud of that. We'd like to thank our Sonics board, the community of Grand River for supporting us and raising us up. Working with the 59th elected council, I have agreed to work with 4 new portfolios to serve and to lead our interlocking agencies of over 900 civil servants and providing oversight on the finances. As a council, we are committed to support elected council Chief Sherri-Lyn Hill and each other by raising each other up. The 4 portfolios I choose to work with are exciting, and I have the spirit and inspirations and intentions of regaining our dignity and establishing and reaffirming our integrity as an Ungwahome civilization, which is much more than a culture. The 4 portfolios I am working with are the Education, Culture and Languages portfolio, the Six Nations Health and Wellness portfolio, the Unity Building and External Government Relations portfolio, and CAP, Consultation Accommodation Process. Under the Education, Culture and Languages portfolio, we are responsible to kickstart and oversee the planning of establishing a state-of-the-art education system here for Six Nations at Grand River, and to ensure adequate funding for its O&M and its infrastructure for a safe and healthy environment. We are also responsible to seek and secure funding for Galwaneo, in tandem with their board of directors and trustees. We are also board reps to the Grand River Post-Secondary Board, the Woodland Cultural Center, and the Six Nations Language Commission. This portfolio meets the last Wednesday of each month. Six Nations Health and Wellness Portfolio, we work to support the authority to provide oversight and give political support to all their established services and ancillary services and to establish new initiatives. Some of the new initiatives include a Made in the Community integrated health service for all of our people, from the young babies to our seniors, at one central location. It's almost like a one-stop shop. This is an exciting development, and you'll hear more about it in the coming weeks. We're also working on establishing a new hospice for our end-of-life considerations with our families. You'll be hearing more about that as well in the next few weeks. We are working with our health professionals and partners to develop a Six Nations Diagnostic Center for our community and for our patients to obtain a CT and MRI scan right here on the territory. Imagine. We are going to begin work with the surrounding hospitals and health services to understand the services that they provide in navigating and advocating for members from Six Nations who are their patients. We're even going to start addressing the borderline racism issues that exist. Our latest initiative is to establish a seniors hub of wraparound services for our seniors, from doing their income tax perhaps, counseling to assist them with their wills, and helping those who want to remain independent to help themselves navigate and we can assist them. Even just being a familiar face when visiting them and checking in on them. This health and wellness portfolio meets first Thursday of each month. I am proud, honored, and humbled that they have asked me to chair this health and wellness portfolio. The Unity Building and External Government Relations portfolio is exciting as well. We just finished our terms of reference for the approval of the Council. We'll be looking at external relations with all levels of government and political bodies, including municipalities up and down the Grand River, other First Nations, the federal and provincial crowns, HCCC, the Iroquois Caucus, Chiefs of Ontario, and the Assembly of First Nations. We want to confirm and affirm our position as well with the pretend Métis who are establishing themselves on the Grand River. We'll also lead discussions on the Jay Treaty, membership, and our own citizenship. As a member, I have advocated with one of my aspirations for the crafting and drafting of an Ongwahoe modern-day written constitution and Charter of Rights and Freedoms, with a preamble that represents those of us who want to work with and be recognized within the modern-day constitution. A constitution that recognizes and affirms our inalienable human rights. This will regain our dignity and reestablish our integrity with all external relations. I say ad nauseum, we have to confirm and affirm our human rights and freedoms so that we become the architects of our destiny. No bureaucrat at a boardroom table or kiosk in the Gatineau or in St. Clair, Yonge Street in Toronto has the right to determine our human rights and our destiny. We at the elected council continue to remind the Crown they have a duty and obligation to consult and accommodate under free, prior, and informed consent. It is said 70% of our human rights had to be defined and won in a court of law. What is wrong with this picture? I always ask this question. This portfolio meets the first Thursday of the month. CAP, Consultation Accommodation Process. This is a very strong initiative. It supports our lawsuit against the Crown. This is exciting as we are ready to go to court now. We now need to establish a process and prepare to negotiate a settlement that is cited to be in the billions of dollars. There will be opportunities for all of us to participate and give your thoughts voice so that the community and leadership can consider all of those suggestions. Those are my portfolios, and this portfolio, the CAP one, meets every third Thursday of the month. As I said, these are the portfolios I'm involved with and wherein I can share my purpose to serve the community and the people of Six Nations. Finally, I just wanted to share a list of my other aspirations that drove me to seek a term with the council over 4 years. A band-owned and operated gas station in Brantford is one of my aspirations. Negotiate a new tax scheme with the federal government and the province to tax the purchase of goods and services on the original tract of Grand River, 6 miles on each side of the Grand River from its mouth to its source, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 360 days a year, with a minimum of not less than 30% of that tax. They can take 30 and the other one can take 30. But that will be into perpetuity from this day forward. Establish the Six Nations Credit Union, our own banking system. Research the amount of lost income from 1784 along the Grand River. We need that data. I'm sure we're working on it. And develop our own membership code. Develop our own Six Nations of the Grand River status membership card and other identifications. Establish our own Grand River vehicle license plate. I find that exciting. Continue to dialogue and establish a new national holiday for Six Nations honoring October 25th, 1784. I continue to support that dialogue. Building of a new Gowanio school. After 40 years, they deserve a new school. Finishing the restoration of the Mohawk Institute is also an aspiration as Canada's first Canadian Museum of Conscience. I am grateful I was able to lead the fundraising effort as the Save the Evidence campaign, along with the survivors and this community. We have now raised over $23 million for this restoration. I would also like us to consider establishing an arts funding grant program for our young, youth, and seasoned artists to produce, write, and film. I would also support establishing an education system that teaches us, our people, about the attributes and characteristics of our civilization, our history, our spirituality, our genesis, our ethics and virtues, and our emotional intelligence. That can all go into our new education system so that we will teach about our inherent human rights and the health of our community. I would like to also create our own working list of Ongohawe social determinants of health. Our own social determinants of health. We should establish that for Six Nations. Develop an Ongohawe index of well-being and integrity. We have so much we can do together as a community for our next generations. Until next time, that is it for me, and I'll work as hard as I can over the next 3.5 years, and hopefully some of the aspirations.
Until our next episode, take care, be safe, be well, and be kind. Have a great week.